We're going to be building on everything we started last class. So if you have any questions while I'm presenting, you can raise your hand using the Zoom raise hand feature or just type it in the chat. So as you remember, last time we worked on step 1 of writing a creative writing piece, which was brainstorming. So now we're going to be working on step 2, which is outlining. So let's look at the definition of outlining. An outline allows a writer to categorize the main points, to organize the paragraphs into an order that makes sense, and to make sure that each paragraph or idea can be fully developed. So essentially, an outline helps prevent a writer from getting stuck when performing the actual writing of an essay. So here I've just highlighted some important parts. So basically, an outline will help you categorize, organize, and fully develop your paragraph. So an efficient way to turn your storyline and key elements, which is what we brainstormed last time, into an outline is to create a timeline. So by creating a timeline, you're able to mark all the events in the story, including your introduction to the characters and setting, the events leading to the problem, the events leading to the solution, the ending, and more. So there's a sheet in Google Classroom. If you go to classwork, there's an outlining sheet. So using your brainstorming sheet last time, you can create a timeline marking all the events you plan to include in your story. You may use any formula to create this timeline, whether it be bullet points or something else. You're going to have 20 minutes of class time to work on this assignment, and it's not going to be due. You can work on it for homework, but it's likely you won't need to. You'll probably be able to finish it in class. So I actually created an example of a timeline that we can look at. So I took a traditional story, Little Red Riding Hood, and I created a timeline from it. So Little Red Riding Hood starts by introducing the setting, which is the village, and then they introduce the characters. So they introduce Little Red Riding Hood, grandmother, and the mother. So the event number 1, which is sort of the introduction, is when Little Red Riding Hood gets sent to grandmother's house to deliver goodies. And pretty much here, I just list all the rest of the events. I list the problem and the solution. So now your task is to go to Google Classroom and create your own outlining sheet where you'll do something similar, but for your own story. So I put the example in here if you'd like to look at it. And if you go to the bottom, you'll have a chance to create your own timeline and just write it here in Google Classroom. So I'm going to start a timer for 20 minutes if everyone's ready. And is everyone ready for me to start the timer?
So we're going to go to Google Classroom and fill out the timeline?
Yeah, the name is outlining sheet, and if you go to the bottom, you're going to get a chance to create your own timeline. So I'll just start the timer in a few seconds. Okay, I'm going to start the timer. Is everyone ready? Okay, I'll take that as a yes. And remember, if you don't finish, you can finish it for homework. It's fine. Okay, so now it's been 20 minutes, so we're going to stop working. If you haven't finished, then you can continue working for homework, but if you have, then I'll take a look at it and I'll give you feedback, hopefully by the end of the day or maybe by Monday. Okay. So now we've done step 2, which is outlining. So now we're going to work on step 3, which is developing your characters. Okay. So characters, like real people, have hobbies, pets, histories, ruminations, and obsessions. So it's essential to your story that you understand these aspects of your characters so you're able to understand how they may react under the pressures of the events they encounter. Basically, if you understand a lot about your character and their background history and their interests, you'll be able to understand their personality more. Therefore, when you have the problem part of your story, when you're at the climax of your story, you know how your character is going to react, and it's much easier to write. Or how your different characters are going to react, so it's much easier to write. So actually, a great strategy to develop your characters is to create a character chart. And by doing so, you're able to learn more about your characters and understand your characters' relationships to others. So there's a chart in Google Classroom. So if you go to Classroom and go to Classwork, under homework assignments, there's a developing character sheet. And here it asks you to try and fill out this chart for 3 or more characters in your story. If you happen to only be able to fill it out for 1 or 2, that's fine. And if you want to fill out for more, that's also fine. And if you want to leave some of these questions blank because you're unsure how to answer them, that's also fine. So you're going to be asked questions like, when is their birthday? What is their age? What do they look like? So you can just quickly describe their appearance, like brown hair, brown eyes, short, tall, whatever. Are they frowny or smiley? Just like, yeah, that's kind of self-explanatory. Where do they live? What do they eat? What is their favorite food? Maybe that will tell you a lot about their social class. How do they dress? What major experiences have they had in their life, whether it be like a tragedy or something else? Are they in love? Do they have any obsessions? Do they have any pets? Do they have any friends? What are their friends like? If friends actually if they play a really important role in your book, then that's an important question. And what are their hobbies? So just try to fill this out as best as you can. But that is actually for homework. So if you look at our homework assignments for this week, your homework is gonna be to fill out this developing character sheet on Google Classroom to the best of your abilities, and to read a Beauty and the Beast story on Google Classroom, which we'll probably post in a few minutes. And it's a 5-page story, and I'll actually show you it right now. It is just right here. It's 5 pages, and if you're not able to finish it, don't worry. But it's just that reading a lot of stories will actually help your writing itself. So yeah, and that's it for class today. Tomorrow next class, we're gonna start writing. We're gonna start working on the first half of your story. So yeah, that's an exciting part. Anyway, thank you. And now we'll